the stream. Here we go. That's recent ones. Start watching. Let me watch us. If we expect other people to watch us, we should as well.
I couldn't disagree more.
Oh, it says it's intended for mature audiences, but I'm extra mature now.
Oh yeah, happy birthday, mate!
I turned more mature yesterday.
How much more mature did you get?
None of your business.
That's not a very mature thing to say.
It's not very mature. I'm a proper old man now. 55 yesterday, which I cannot believe. I can't accept that in my head.
No.
It sounds like such a big number, you know. And I froze at mid-30s.
Yeah.
That's where I was comfortable. In fact, that was the age where I just realised I now felt like an adult and didn't want to be any more adult. But it keeps happening, and that's 2 birthdays in lockdown now as well.
Oh yeah, that's going to be the new bad time to have a birthday, isn't it?
Yes.
Early sort of March, April.
Yeah.
I thought you missed 2 parties.
Yeah. I know, and I did put a thing on Facebook saying I think that just shouldn't count as a year against your age. You know,
you get it knocked off.
Same age now, so I think so. Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. So it was quite nice. So a few of us went down to the woods and had a party that was probably just within legal, just a few people. If there are any police watching, there was no one there.
Well, I know how many friends you've got, so there can't be too many.
And we kept big distance apart, and it was lovely actually, really nice. Because nowadays, I think a small party of 4 or 5 people counts as equivalent. You know, if you take a situation, a lockdown into consideration, that counts as a big do. It's a big bash in the current times.
Yeah, because everyone's got to be 2 meters apart, right? So you've got to fit.
Yeah, it covers more area. So so that's been fun. And what have you been up to?
Well, it's someone's birthday here as well. It's a neighbour's birthday, and another neighbour's got engaged, and another neighbour has died. So the reason that I'm late is kind of everyone decided to go and have a sort of little socially distanced. Everyone stands outside their doors basically and goes, yeah.
Right, yeah. That's a bit of an everything celebration, or not.
Yeah, that's absolutely everything. I assume someone's pregnant as well.
Yeah. I have been saying at the end of all this, I think there should be a big countrywide party to cover everything that's been missed, you know.
Yeah.
So it'll be a mixture of weddings, birthdays and funerals all in one huge street party.
I also wonder, are they also going to announce all the things that they found a cure for but haven't had an opportunity to actually give to anyone?
Yeah.
All the people who went to hospital and died and went, oh, you should have come 6 months ago. Well, no one could come 6 months ago. Yeah.
Yeah. I hope you're having crazy times.
Well, I'm going to turn my video off on the Zoom call so that we're not streaming. So I'm not streaming 2 lots of video. So you won't see me on the Zoom. But you can still hear me, right?
I can still hear you.
Okay, cool.
So for anyone who does come in on this, which they may not, because we've not told anyone this is happening. So some might watch it back later on, but we're running a little bit late today. We haven't got as much time, but we're still experimenting and learning, and we spent a while, Nick spent a good while trying to sort out the sound. So even if you do watch this back later on, let us know if the sound is any better or clearer.
Yeah, and I'll try not to speak as loud, because I think I was a bit loud, and we're still just, because of the sound issues, we can't use proper mics, it seems.
Yeah, you were either loud or I was quiet. It was hard to tell.
Well, I blame you.
I just tried using it with a proper mic, so yeah. But we are learners at doing the whole Twitch thing, so we're up for any advice or help anyone can give us. And as far as the chess goes, I'm more the learner. If you're watching this, then I will repeat this over and over again just so everyone understands that I haven't just suddenly become an idiot. I've only really started learning opening since November last year, 2020. And before that, I knew nothing other than casual play. And I was probably top of the casual players in that if I played a game of chess against someone, I would generally win. And then I started learning an opening and playing on other sites and realising that I'm now bottom of the pile, working my way up. So Nick's going to try and help me, and hopefully other people will find that useful as well. And join in chat and analysis. Tell us what you think and what your ideas are.
Well, one of the things that I thought would be quite good is if we go through a master game, and we don't have to do it every single time, but because we went through the famous Morphy Opera Box game last, and I think one way of kind of building up your sort of patterns and your ideas about chess is to build up a bit of a library in your head of old games, and you don't need to know them off by heart or anything like that, but having that, oh yeah, I've seen that idea before, or I kind of started internalising this lesson. And it's probably quite a good idea to go through older ones first, because less was known about chess, so the mistakes are a bit more obvious, and the lessons are a bit easier to teach.
So we might see places where some of the ideas have changed since these games were played.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, and I do wonder what the advantage of learning from masters is, because it's almost like if you're learning piano and then you listen to classical music, this is way beyond you. It's not. It can almost be off-putting to hear a really good musician when you're learning a guitar or another instrument.
Yeah, slightly, right? But you would rather learn the simple chords first, that you can even hear the difference, as opposed to some like complicated jazz chord that you're not even sure which chord it is because it sounds like two chords mixed together.
I suppose the difference is, I've just realised the big difference is that if you're learning guitar and you watch an extremely good guitarist, they're doing fingerings and movements and strums and so on that you can possibly do yet. But when you watch even the best chess player, like even the most amazing top of the range chess player, and he moves his pawn to e5, you can go, I can do that. There is no move itself that a top chess player can do that I can't.
That's really funny.
It's all really simple in that sense, but nevertheless, it's this combination. What are all the different things? I think it's pattern memory, right? Recognizing the patterns and knowing what to do in different situations. Yep. Knowing openings, knowing all the end game scenarios, so what to do where there's two pawns against the king or a sword. Little things like getting your king in front of a pawn when he's going down. So all that stuff. And then there's loads of little moments in a game. Like one thing I've realised recently is I love it where I've got a clearing somewhere and I can get a bishop and pawn connection. You know, with the bishop in front of the pawn, but they're linked, because then they become like this. If it's in the middle of the board somewhere, and I ever get that situation, it makes me so happy because it's like an impenetrable wall. Yeah, let's put it there. You
mean it's some sort of, I'm just being stupid move, something like that sort of setup.
Like, yes, when I have that, and particularly when there's a clearing, when the pawns, if in that one, if the C pawn and the E pawn, the black E pawn are gone at this point, I now, whenever I get to that towards an end game, I just think it's almost impenetrable. If smaller pieces are gone, he's got to sacrifice a piece to separate those two. They're stuck so tightly together.
That's really interesting.
They're glued in both directions at that point.
And that only works because this pawn's gone there, right?
Yes. If that pawn's out of the way, then it's just lovely.
Yeah, what you're describing is an outpost.
Right. But a really strong outpost, like a strong bond where he'd have to, or she, or they would have to get their pieces all the way around it each time. So it becomes like a proper block in the middle.
Yeah.
So those are particularly fun. I mean, an outpost, if the outpost was a knight, then the knight isn't doing anything to protect the pawn. The pawn is only protecting the knight. But when it's a bishop, that protection is going in both directions.
That's true, but as a general rule, a knight is slightly preferable to have an outpost like that.
Because of the octopus effect of all the different squares it's covering.
Yeah, slightly that, and also because you've got the pawn hitting light squares and the knight is hitting dark squares, so between them they sort of cover both sets. If you don't have much left on the board, you've only got pawns on light squares and a bishop on light squares, Do you know this concept of a bad bishop?
I've heard the term bad bishop. I assume it's just a useless bishop. Is it where a bishop's so you've only got a light square bishop and most of his pieces are on dark squares? Would that be it?
Sort of like that. Yeah, it's a technical term. It means that when you've got right, I'm just going to play ridiculous moves now. Okay, so don't take these as
sounds like a sexual term, though, doesn't it?
A bad bishop.
Bad bishop.
Yeah.
Bishop down.
So let's just be really silly.
Oh, hello, Stuart.
Stuart, our only
cool
fan.
Yes, it is like learning cool guitar licks, except I can't do that many cool guitar licks. I can do a few.
I don't know what I'm doing now, but I'm just trying to set up a... This is not an efficient way to set up a board, but what I'm trying to show you is the idea that, say you have some setup like this, right? All these pawns are on light squares.
Yeah.
And the bishop's on light squares as well. But also...
Are you showing me a bad bishop? Okay.
So this is technically a bad bishop, even though it's quite a good piece. Does that make sense? So in the technical sense of the word, it's a bad bishop because it's on the same colour as your pawn chain.
Right.
Now, it could be worse.
So, yeah.
Like it could be, you've got the possibility of playing things like this and actually breaking that pawn. So it's not permanently bad at the moment. But if the bishop was behind the pawn chain, it would be a really bad bishop.
Okay.
So what I'm trying to show you, and maybe I shouldn't have skipped one bit in the reasoning, is you can have a bad bishop that's actually good, and a good bishop that's not a very good piece.
Oh, well, thanks for complicating it. That's how I like to learn. I like to learn.
If I could just hang on. Oh, clipboard. Oh, this is okay. Here we go. This is going to be much easier. So can you see this?
Yeah. I thought a bad bishop was more to do with his pawn structure rather than my own. So now I realise it's
your own
that makes it bad. Okay.
So let me just set up a position. And I'm going to give him a knight. Okay.
No wonder the Catholic Church struggle.
So this position...
Yes. One too many bad bishops there. Okay, yes. I'm with you.
This position is strategically winning for black.
Right.
Because at some stage, black is going to be able to set up a way of attacking two pawns in a way that white can't defend. I think. So certainly white has literally zero chance of winning this at all.
Yeah.
There's just no way through whatsoever.
It's just frustrating, isn't it? What a thing to do to yourself.
Can I get rid of the knight? I don't know how to get rid of the knight. Let's make it into a bishop. This is winning for black as well.
Right.
Because even
bishop v bad bishop.
Yeah, even if we did this, right, so that these are defended. I'll move there. You make some move. I'll go there, say. You go here. Do you see what I mean? You have so few squares available for your bishop.
Yes. So the bishop the bishop needs to be defending two pawns at a time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So your bishop's always going to be able to threaten one of my pawns and fast. And from the E7 position, you can really cause... Well, actually, no, I can bring my pawn down to E1, I guess.
It's a nightmare, right?
Yeah, but I'm looking at it, I'm wondering whether my bishop can keep defending in time or not. So it comes down to D2.
Oops, sorry. Where am I? What's there?
How did you do that?
Oh, this isn't really... This is just a board setup.
No, I know. That's the way to do it, is to create illegal moves.
Yeah,
right, so try and get a position where... See how quickly you can take one of my white pawns now.
I think it's quite hard to do. This actually might be a draw.
I can't see it. I can't see where you would be able to attack a white pawn without my being able to defend it. The point is, I can't attack back though.
Yeah.
I'm permanently in defence here.
So this I've made it too extreme, but you see the point that black can attack, and all white can ever do is try and anticipate what black's going to do.
Right. So the idea then basically is to always have clear paths in front of your bishop. Always have an escape route, right?
Well, certainly, you can still get a good. You can a bad bishop can be good in the sense that it's a technically bad bishop because it's on the same colours as these. But if it's outside the pawn chain, it can suddenly be strong. At least it's got some scope now. This is still horrible, right? For white. And even
really? Because that's pretty similar to the situation I was saying before. That looks to me okay. It's difficult because you've got a bishop there, and I haven't got enough to defend. Okay.
This is arguably worse.
Yeah, it is worse, isn't it? Because there's no way I could, unless I get the king over to c3, in which case then I don't see how you can attack. I won't be able to keep the king at c3, would I? But you'd have to move the bishop twice in order to attack either the b or the d pawn.
So you're saying if this was here?
Yeah. If that's there, then I can just keep moving my king backwards and forwards and you can't break through.
Yeah, you might be able to draw that. Let's have a think. So just say you come here, I come here.
I know it's miserable because there's no way my king can ever break through, but your king can't step through either. I think we're both. This is surely a resigned situation.
A resigned situation?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see that you're going to be able to break through at any point. I don't see that. My king definitely can't get through. Your king can't get through. Your bishop can't achieve an attack.
So who's resigning?
Sorry, not resign. A draw, I meant.
Yeah, this might be a draw. The one with a knight is a win. I'm pretty sure. But maybe you need something that's not quite as completely clogged up as this.
Okay, let's play this Morphy game then now.
Anyway.
I know about bishop, and I know what to look out for. But I think what you just showed me is an extreme version.
Yeah.
That's definitely not. Whilst my pattern recognition isn't amazing, I know I've not come up with that one yet.
I don't know what just happened there. So let's try to find out now how we. How do I paste a new thing into this?
Just do the same PGM that you did before.
Yeah, but where?
Can you go back to it? Hold on, can't you go back to it? Let's have a look. What did you do?
Board play.
I just tried starting position. That doesn't do it. We really need to get expert at doing this.
Someone to show us how to do this. Ah! Yeah, what's the PGN? It's so unfriendly. It just should be really obvious. Analysis. Now it's a new tab.
Yeah, I can't do it as well. Otherwise, I'll stop you doing it.
It keeps opening new friggin'.
Do you want me to try and send one to you?
Yeah, you do that. Reset board.
Go to master game.
I've managed to reset the board.
But not to the beginning of the game, no. Right, it's Paul Morphy v who?
Schulten. This is the problem. It's not in the archive of chess.com.
Oh. Well, then I can't do it.
No. Okay, that's the board. Hang on.
Do you know the game off by heart?
Here we are. Can you see that?
Okay, I'm back to it now.
Yeah. All right. Let's go black. No shit.
So Paul Morphy's playing back. Good.
Do you know what I've just done? I've just reset it. I just reset it.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I'm seeing. I'm support by movement control. I am, but I can't move anything right now.
Don't worry. It's fine. Here we are. Are you seeing this?
Yes, I can. Right, I'm ready.
Okay, so Morphy was black.
Is there any story behind this game? Because last time we had the story of Morphy playing the two Ponzi guys at the opera.
I mean, I can make one. I can make one up if you want.
Yeah, go on. What happened?
Right, they basically had agreed to go and watch a cockfight, but when they when they turned up,
it's so rude to the cocks when you just ignore them.
Yeah. When they turned up, and Morphy was really into his cockfighting. He had a lot of money on a really vicious rooster, and Schulten placed him back to the cocks, with his back to the cocks, and forced him to play chess,
which he hated. He was really upset. So does he lose it like he did in the last game, or it'd be interesting to compare his attitude to cock game as opposed to opera.
Yeah, and some of the games can be explained by the fact that one of the players was being pecked by a vicious fighting cock.
What's the nature of this game? What opening are we going to see?
Oh, right, you like this. You've got King's Gambit.
Oh, okay, which I know vaguely and have played once after reading it. That was a few weeks ago. So, cool. So, we're opening with F3? F4?
No, F4 would be Bird's opening, it's called.
Opening with E4.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, which most people did back then.
Okay.
So more if you played E5. And Schulten
I'm
plays F4.
Hold on. I'm not seeing this coming up on the board.
You're not? Oh, let me invite you, sorry.
I thought I was invited. I'm very upsetting.
I don't know what's just happened.
We should change the name of this show to Faff. Two comedians, Faff, trying to get a board to work.
Okay, I've invited you again.
Come on.
You there? All right.
Okay.
You see the okay. So you can see the board we got.
Yeah.
So F4.
Yes.
Do you get vaguely the idea of F4?
I don't. Well, I know the idea is to start a very fast attack, and I know the idea of the King's Gambit is you kind of throw all your pieces into it and lose several pieces in a very fast opening that hopefully throws them off guard and means you can get some quite interesting attacking situations going from the very beginning.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I know that the knight goes to F3 fairly quickly.
Usually, yeah.
I don't think the D pawn normally takes the F pawn.
The E pawn.
Sorry, the E pawn takes the F pawn.
It usually would. If I'm playing black here, I normally take.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was D5 was the answer. Was the next move?
Well,
or is that a mistake?
No, it's not a mistake. It's a counter gambit. It's called the Folk Beer counter gambit.
Right.
But it's what was played in this game actually. But this.
Okay.
So just really briefly, the idea of this is white is gambiting a pawn, right? If black takes this, oops, this is what Morphy played. If you take this, there's no guarantee that white is getting it back.
Right.
Yeah, it's a gambit in the proper sense of the word. It's giving up material for fast development. So the idea is that he's going to bring this knight out here. He's probably going to put the bishop there. He'll play d4, and now there's nothing to stop him setting up these two pawns there because the black pawn's left the centre. He may take that back with the bishop, but black might try and hang on to it.
Okay.
And also, he's opened a line, right? He's opened this line for the rook. So when white castles, there's loads of lines. Sorry, there's so the rook will end up here and have pressure down this side, down this line onto the f7 pawn.
So it could be pretty fierce. Curious to say, Schulten does have a line named after him in the Evans Gambit.
Does he?
You know that, Nick?
I did not know that.
So, yeah.
I didn't even know there would. Yeah, of course there are Evans Gambit lines with names. Who's saying this? Have we got people watching?
Yeah, Curious Arcade.
Oh, hey, Kiers, how you doing? That's good to know.
Okay, so let's see a move then.
Well, before we do, I'm just going to show you a thing, just on the off chance you were thinking there's a threat here. That isn't a proper threat. So, say if black goes there, you're not threatening to take this because queen check, and if g3, queen takes e4, check, and also the rook in the corner is gone.
Right.
Which reminds me that we made a big mistake the other night when we were looking at this. We were looking at the Stafford Gambit, remember?
Yeah, that's right.
Takes. And we were arguing about what happens if white goes e5, I come here, d4, queen h4, g3. And does this remind you of anything that we've just looked at?
I'm not sure what I'm looking at. I remember we came up with this situation before.
Yeah, and we showed going, I don't know.
And it didn't quite work out.
It does work out for black though. Knight takes g3.
And then...
So you can't take back here, right?
No, because you're going to lose your rook.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking why you can't take with the f4.
Okay.
For the same reason.
Yeah.
Because then the queen comes over to
boom.
b5. So that was it. I thought I was when I said I thought the queen came out to h4 and I couldn't work out why. And then because I back out of anything I think might be right really fast, I couldn't see it or piece it together. But yeah, that makes loads of sense. So
there you go. That's the tactic there.
Yeah.
So this is such a classic weakness, right? This diagonal here. It's very.
One second. What you're saying right now, though, is the point of putting the pawn on f4 is not an attack. There's no. Is it just to tempt the e pawn then?
In a way, I mean, it's not. Yeah, we say sometimes in chess that you put pressure on a pawn or a piece or a square. So it doesn't mean that you're literally threatening to take it right now, but that you are threatening to take it in the future, right? So if, let's say it's a very passive, not great move. Knight f3. Well, there's some threat to the e pawn. Now, I mean, again, I don't think you would. Well, maybe you would, right? I'm just say you did something irrelevant. Takes. Check, g3, takes, check, queen e2. If you take that, knight check, winning that. I mean, this actually isn't good for white. But what I'm saying is, it's I'm not giving you that as an exact line. I'm just saying that the threat is sitting there in the position, even though it's not a literal threat right now.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah.
But also, there's an offer. Like, if black, here's a pawn. If there's a pawn, just take it and you're a pawn up. If you make it to the end game, you've got a winning position. But you have to survive the opening and the middle game.
Yes.
And so, like,
okay. It's just a tempt up.
One main line here. I don't know why there's arrows there. Yeah, you would normally play here as white, to prevent the queen from coming here. And then black, if he wants to, can defend this. So that after d4, there's nothing. There's even a version called the Algae Gambit where black hits this and white goes, yeah, what of it? Sacrifices a whole piece. And it's
really?
and I mean it's very, very complicated and it's been worked out. I mean it's centuries old now. It's like over 150 years old probably. So. Don't go into this if you can avoid it, because the person playing it probably knows it a lot better than you do. This is an alternative.
It's quite a fun opening, this, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I like all these ideas of throwing pieces away and getting better advantage. I was playing it. There's someone I've been playing on Chess with Friends who he's a pretty new player, and he's obviously seen a lot of videos where a queen sacrifice wins the game, and it's chess players love the queen sacrifice that wins the game, you know. But he sacrifices his queen anyway. Like almost every game, at some point, he sacrifices his queen. I can almost feel his surprise that it doesn't naturally lead to a win.
That's funny.
But a shame to watch, but it's sweet.
Yeah, that's like you learned a bit of jiu-jitsu, and you learned an arm bar ends the fight.
Yes.
So you're just there wrapping your legs around every arm that comes near you, and you just, why do I keep getting my head smashed on the floor?
It's like the cargo cult of chess.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I've noticed people win when they do this, so I'm gonna do it.
The King's Gambit declined, right? Is this move Bishop C5? So that's your That's your classic. White doesn't take because it's bad. Yeah, this is losing to this, right?
So White's still going to bring his knight out to F3. Then.
Yeah, and now Black plays D6, and it's anybody's game.
How popular was that this opening then as opposed to now?
King's Gambit was really popular. It was played all the way to the highest levels of chess.
Right.
Back in the 19th century.
Okay.
Well, I mean, here's Morphy, strongest player in the world.
Was the Queen's Gambit as popular?
Not as popular at the time. No, it got much, much more popular later on. So once you get into the era of kind of Lasca and Capablanca and Algae, that was played all the time. So. And
what's that? Is that early 20th century?
Yeah, late 19th, early 20th.
Nick, did we go from King's Gambit to Queen's Gambit at the same time as Women's Lib was building up?
I don't think they quite match.
Is it connected at all?
Yeah, between the
Queen's turn.
At this point, the Queen wasn't allowed to move without the King's say-so.
Right, let's continue with the patriarchal Gambit then.
Yeah. Gambit of the Patriarchy. D5, right? False Spears, counter-combat.
Paul Scully's joined us. Want to become famous by followers. Primes and viewers on. No, we're not the type to buy followers. Solomon.
Oh, we're being offered to buy followers?
Yeah, buy them. Not paying followers.
These sound like good friends.
Yeah.
I do love a friend who will become your friend for money.
Yeah, Stuart, I think it was a bot. How much does it cost for bots? There's on Chess with Friends, there's lots of people trying to sell me cryptocurrency. And I've had a few now. I've had now 2 women start playing me and then do you want to swap photos? No, I don't really. I want to play chess.
Oh, I had one of those where it's sort of, someone with a sort of, quite attractive, sort of relatively skimpily dressed photo started playing me, and then obviously looked at my profile, saw how many other games I had, and then just resigned. Just sort of, this guy's just into chess.
There's one person I'm playing on Chess with Friends, and it's the avatar is just a woman with a very large pair of breasts. And the name of the player is, I won't say the exact name, but it's something like Laura's husband. Like, he knows himself as, he doesn't even have a name, he's just her husband.
Wow.
And he's obviously really proud of her breasts. There's a picture of her with her breasts out. And he's playing, I think it's something like 120 other players who've been attracted to his avatar. Not his abattoir.
His abattoir? It's a picture of an abattoir.
That's his dead picture, yeah.
Just some slaughtered lambs.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's move on with the game.
Yeah. So this is a counter gambit, right? So the idea is, the more you see of Morphy's games, the more you'll see this is not a guy who wants to give you the initiative in exchange for a pawn. Much rather be the guy who gives you a pawn and has the initiative.
Okay.
So what?
I think I take it. I think I take the D pawn.
The D pawn.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm white now, so I think I take the D pawn because What's he going to do? Queen takes my pawn and gives me my knight a chance to out.
So you're
C3 with a check.
You're thinking what check? Yeah, attack on the queen. Yeah,
not check. Sorry, it was attack on the queen. Yeah, I will sometimes use words in surprising ways that aren't relevant. So yeah, would that be wrong?
E takes d5 isn't wrong, and it's what was played in the game. But it's queen takes is not what Morphy did.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. I meant that's why it'd be worth taking the pawn rather than I would then come back with the queen, because you wouldn't. So I'm guessing. Oh, that's interesting. Because if the knight comes out to f6, that's not particularly useful right now. I'd assume that bishop comes out to f5.
F5. Here?
Sorry, c5. c5.
Okay. That's interesting. I don't think that's a theoretical move, but
well, I'm not seeing any way useful to put my white bishop right now, or
I've never seen that. But I don't know. I'd be tempted just to play d4 because if take that, I've got knight f3. I don't know. We can see what.
Thinking of attacking into an open area of the board.
Yeah, I mean the computer's giving just knight c3 here, hanging on to this pawn.
Okay.
But you can just take this now.
It's worth it, is it?
Well, you can hang on to it in a much better way now that you've got rid of this pawn. So that knight f3, you can just go bishop d6, and it's really that's a decent square for the bishop, and it's really hard to take this f pawn back now.
Right.
So that's recommended in a couple of books. There's a book called Bologan's Black Weapons that mentions this. But what Morphy did was e4.
Okay. Which prevents me from bringing my knight out to c3, so that's good.
Yeah, it's really annoying.
I can see why that's a good move for that, yeah.
So you see that...
It's quite annoying all round, isn't it? I suppose... I mean, where does that get me? I suppose my next move might be knight c3.
Yeah, decent move, very natural. I think the theoretical move... But there wasn't any theory now, right? At this time, people were developing the theory of this gambit. It's called the Falkbeer counter gambit, and Falkbeer was, still around and playing. So later on, because people played it against Morphy, and I think Morphy introduced. I haven't checked this, but I think Morphy introduced this move. Very natural again, challenging it.
Yeah.
But at the time, so Schulten played this, knight c3, which was your suggestion, very decent. And Morphy played the most natural move, knight f6. So keeping this, the wedge in the position.
Yeah. So he's holding on to that pawn.
Yeah.
All right.
d3.
And now d3.
Really natural. So what are you going to do about this?
I'm looking at whether to... I don't want to push that pawn. There's no point. It just goes. So maybe holding on to the pawn is worth it by bringing the white bishop out to f5. Is it though? Let me see. Then pawn takes, bishop takes, knight takes, knight takes. Or bringing the bishop out to g4.
b4, you mean, or g4?
Sorry, g4.
Do you mean b4 or g4?
G4. B4 would be quite good as well. Although I'm just looking for a way of keeping an attack going, and I'm thinking you're saying me Morphy attacks and or would look for attacks. So G4 seems quite good for me, but then that does allow White to have a tempo to bring out his knight onto. Oh no, he couldn't do. I suppose he can bring his bishop onto E2, so close off that attack on the queen. Overall, I don't know. I think I'm going to say bishop to F5.
Okay, I think that's a decent attempt. It's a bit unnatural, and honestly, I'm trying to think, why does that seem unnatural to me? And the reason is that when you've got an opening, especially very opening like this, the open games where it started with e4, e5, and then the centre gets opened really quick. One of the really important things is to get fucking castled really fast.
Okay.
So I would massively prefer to move this bishop than this bishop, because there are two reasons. One is getting castled quick, you get your king out of the centre. But the other is, if your opponent's king is still in the centre, you get a rook there as fast as you possibly can.
I see it. I suppose my logic was that I was thinking that the knight on B8 doesn't really have anywhere to go at the moment, and that he's kind of, if he comes out onto D7, then he's blocking the bishop.
Yeah.
And that bishop was looking like he was going to be locked in if I didn't get him to if I get him to escape now, then the knight has a bit more free movement to come out in a moment. So I think that's what I was thinking. But I can see what you mean. Yes, we're a move away from being able to castle, so it does make sense to get the F bishop out. Do people still say things like King's Bishop, and is that just old talk?
Older people do.
Do they?
Yeah, King's Bishop. I mean, because you can say either F8 Bishop or the dark squared Bishop.
Yeah. All right. What did Morphy do?
He moved his easterly bishop.
The westerly side.
Yeah, to the west side.
Okay.
To the square known as Queen's Knights 5, which it was then. So confusing.
Well, it was. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I found that a lot easier because I've only recently got into learning all this stuff, or I have to keep looking at the board and calculating and see. But I can instantly see that's the King's Bishop. And so if you said King's Bishop, I'd instantly look over to the Bishop near the King. And go,
no, that's fine. But B4, right? That is B4. Whoever is speaking. Whereas in the old notation, that was Queen's Knight 5 if you're black, but Queen's Knight 4 if you're white.
Yeah.
It's just like being from one of those families that has a special word for everything and no one can understand. Eat your spropsils. What? That's what we call soup.
So we've got the bishop's out of the way now, which makes it easier to castle, but there's no real attack here as such, is it? I mean, it's I'm assuming it's
no, there isn't. But
D2.
Bishop D2, yeah. Bishop D2.
Is it?
That's what Schulten did, yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a battle going on about around this square and this square. Black would like white to take here because it brings his knight into the centre with tempo. Tempo meaning that white has wasted a move with a capture that hasn't been a developing move. So black's not losing time by recapturing. And white would love it if black would take there. Right, because
to do what? To get the bishop out.
Yeah, exactly. So if if he can, let's say he does. Well, he does do this. Let's say black does that. Oh, thank you very much. I got my bishop out.
Yeah.
For free.
But then black gets another pawn, doesn't he, with the D pawn at that point?
Go on. How?
Well, then the black knight takes the D pawn. And then, let me just think. Yeah, then white knight takes back, bishop takes bishop, and then queen takes the knight. That's an overall
this looks terrifying to me because white now has a really big development advantage. Knight takes, really? Right? You've got to take. It's check.
Yeah.
Queen takes.
Oh, no, sorry. So I didn't see that. Of course, the queen takes back first, and then. Oh, that's right. That's what I'm saying. So black overall just won a pawn, didn't you?
No. He won a pawn back, but he's massively behind in development.
Oh, okay. I never know with those ones. I often think if it calculates overall that you've won a pawn, isn't that worth it most of the time?
But you haven't.
Far into the game.
I mean, All right, let's say like white just castles here.
It's actually pawns are equal now, aren't they?
Yeah. It's equal. It's equal material, but white can castle.
Right.
What would you do if you
castle?
Can he? White to play and win.
No, of course not, because then white bishop takes h7.
Yeah.
No,
bang.
it doesn't. Yes, it does. Yeah, and then takes.
Check. Takes. Lose your queen.
Yeah.
Game's over.
Yes. Okay. One of those situations to watch out for.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we're back here. He's just played the bishop here. I'm just looking at the computer evaluation now, and what's really interesting is that the move Morphy played is not the computer's favourite, and then over time it becomes the computer's favourite. It's kind of interesting because it's such a Morphy move.
What Morphy plays next, you mean?
Yeah.
From here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's so to do with keeping the initiative. It may not objectively be the absolute strongest move, but it certainly keeps some play going.
Is it pawn to e3?
Yes, it is. Yeah, you're channeling.
That's an interesting move.
Channeling Morphy.
Yeah.
And you've got to take it, right?
Bishop takes back. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to take it. Just if you're watching, you don't see why you've got to take it. First of all, you just put your bishop there. So just to put it back, you might as well just like hand your trousers to your opponent.
Which is never a good idea.
It was the rule at the time.
Although that might free you up a little bit. You might find a bit more air going to your legs. You'll get the thinking juices going. It's worth a try. If you're losing a game and nothing's working,
just remove, take off your pants, yeah. But knight takes d5 now, like you've got two pieces descending on this pin piece. You can't unpin it. You can't put anything here. So this is lost.
Yes.
This is actually a lost position. So after
Bishop
this...
definitely takes pawn.
Bishop takes pawn.
Bishop would be an idiot for not taking the pawn at this point. And now bishop takes knight, I reckon.
Yeah, it's not a bad attempt. It's not what Morphy did.
Oh, maybe Morphy takes the d pawn.
Yeah, give me a few options on what you think Morphy does. So you think one option is he takes, check?
No, I think he's much more likely to take the d pawn with the knight.
Okay. Well, what do you think would be the reply?
Well, I suppose he's going to withdraw the bishop to d2.
Puts it back, probably, yeah.
So it's not a major advantage to it, but he gets that pawn. Or is there a better thing? Let's put the knight back where he was. Okay, queen's restricted.
What were we saying is one of the big priorities in this sort of position?
Castling.
Yeah.
So it's a good time to castle.
Yeah, I mean it doesn't harm things that this pawn isn't going anywhere.
Right. So it's a good safe moment. So alright. Does he castle next?
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
So now there's this horrible threat of bringing the rook here, which really would
threat down that rank.
Yeah. Would really put this bishop in trouble.
And he's also his choice of getting the king to be able to castle is either moving two pieces out of the way down on the king's side here, or and because it's also a case of if the king is to castle queen's side, where's the queen going to go right now? Does the queen take up on d2? Which I suppose you'd have to.
What now?
Yeah, I'm looking at trying to castle as quickly as possible, and I think that.
Problem with that,
does that have to happen?
this is now horrific.
Oh, I see.
And I mean, maybe this is. I mean, this might be. I wouldn't say good option, but it's horrible, right?
Yeah, because then knight takes bishop, and then bishop can take knight and instantly smash up the defence around the king. So okay, let's go back to that. I'll have another look.
Yeah, or like takes Queen e7, which is hitting this twice now, but also threatening to come in here. Check.
Yeah.
You know, just
okay. Back.
So he castles, and what Schulten did is he is the best move. He brings the bishop back to where it was. It's kind of miserable now, right? Kind of to find yourself doing that, you wouldn't be very happy with how it's going. And this next move is really, really typical. I'm sorry, not the next move. But the way Morphy deals with what happens. So Morphy has quite a concrete attitude towards what goes on now. He doesn't want to just exchange on his terms, on his opponent's terms. Right? So if he takes here, then takes with check, takes, and you've got away with it, right? Knight f3. Yep. Even if you check, I'll put my bishop in the way. I'm going to castle next. Not only has he got away with it, he's a pawn up white.
Yeah.
Which is a problem.
Yes.
So this is the thing. If you play like Morphy, you do have to play in a. You have to keep the initiative all the time. Everything you do has to be forcing and not allowing your opponent to catch their breath, really.
Okay, so I'm still looking at the bishop going to g4, but that's giving my opponent time to bring his rook out. So I'm imagining it's of course it's rook to e8.
Rook e8 is a good move.
Keeping the pressure going.
Yeah, that's a really good move.
By your tone saying that, I know it's not the move.
It's not what he played, but it is what the computer wishes he played.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm quite happy to agree with the computer, or rather have a computer agree with me. But he didn't play rook to e8, so... Because the only other thing I'm really seeing is bishop to g4, but I don't see an advantage in that right now.
Yeah, but what he did was he took on c3.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, white obviously takes back.
Yeah.
Oh, with the pawn?
Yeah, he takes with the pawn.
Why not with the bishop?
I think he figures he's going to lose the bishop for a knight if he takes on c3. So after this, if you want to keep your pair of bishops, you'd have to wait another move, which you really can't afford to do.
Okay.
And also this is hanging, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that's interesting. Okay. So he. I can see the logic now. So he takes with the pawn.
Yeah.
And now is it e8 for the knight?
Yes. With the rook. Yes, it is. Yeah. Check.
Okay. White's in a mess, really, isn't he?
Well, White's really tied up. Objectively, he's not losing, but it's really hard to play for a human being.
Yeah.
Especially a human being who's never seen a computer demonstrate that you can survive positions like this.
Is it worth doing bishop g4?
Bingo. Yeah.
And knight has no choice really to go to f3.
That's the problem with knight f3 is that you can just take it, right?
Well, yeah.
This is pinned.
I'm trying to see how else he...
So where's your king going now? Knight takes d5. There's the threat of the queen coming here. This is really horrible. You would have to castle into this. And then this is going to drop, right? Queen f6. So white's significantly better. Sorry, black is significantly better in this position now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's vicious. I see that. Go back to that one then, where I just said knight to f3. So, well, I can't take with it. I ignore it? No, I can't, because then the bishop takes my bishop.
Well, bishop at the moment you've got a knight on it.
Oh, I suppose so. Ooh, though.
Yeah, it's horrible. It just feels horrible.
Do I try and push that bishop away with h3?
Right, this is the second time. The second time you've agreed with the computer about something that wasn't played. The computer reckons White's actually doing pretty well in this case.
Really? That's interesting.
I mean, it feels absolutely horrible. Takes, Queen e7. When are you ever getting away from any of this stuff?
Yeah, it looks hard. I'm wondering whether the computer's taking into account, though, that Black still has a rook and a knight that are totally out of play. Whereas at least White's got a fair bit of freedom.
I mean, the computer wants to play this.
Hello,
C takes.
Hey! Thanks for joining us.
Oh, you're reading stuff in the chat. I can't see the chat.
Into a Morphy Schulten game. Okay, sorry. So play that last move again. Missed it.
So the computer would like to sacrifice this. C takes and then play King F2, unpinning.
Yep.
And White remains a pawn up.
Yeah. Okay. Doesn't look lovely, but at the same time, this is a lot of freedom of movement, so I can see why that would happen.
Yeah, I'm quite curious. I'm quite curious as to why the computer wants to sacrifice that pawn rather than just going King F2.
Yeah.
I don't see it, to be honest. C5. Do you not play D4? Oh, and if D4, then there's knight E4, and it's getting annoying again. Yeah, okay. It's again, it's not a disaster. But in fact, what Schulten did was he played C4 in this position to hang on to his material.
Right, and to keep the control of the centre.
Yeah. So what you're seeing, like, this is the second Morphy game we've been through, and this is two cases where his opponent wants to keep material, and Morphy's like not having any of it. And this is where you start.
Would you say that's going off theme? You know, because there's nothing. I mean, hearing the term quite a lot, and the theme of the King's Gambit that White has started with is really to throw pieces into the game and try and get a fast win. But now he's already way out of that, isn't he? So at this point, when you say during a game that started with the King's Gambit, he's now trying to hold on to material. Is he? Would you say he's going against the theme that he started out with?
Against the spirit of the King's Gambit?
Yeah.
Kind of, but he sort of doesn't. He doesn't. I mean, I don't know what playing in the spirit of the King's Gambit would be now, because there's no attack happening for White in the near future. So you could argue like materialism is his only. Really. Say again, sorry.
So he's lost the spirit of the King's Gambit by now, and he's just got to face that.
This is the issue sometimes if your opponent plays some swashbuckling, violent, like sacrificial, no materialist sort of attack, and you play another gambit, you sacrifice back. They go, no, but I wanted to be the attacker. Yeah.
All right.
And what Morphy does here is C6.
Yep.
Which is sort of classic gambit style play.
Okay, with what ideas?
Well, the idea is that if White doesn't take this, then Black will sort of demolish the centre, right?
Okay.
And having just spent this long on making sure that pawn stays there, he goes, right, fine, I'll take. But this is disastrous. Because
so I'm assuming knight takes pawn.
Yeah, knight takes. So now we have this position where we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pawns against 5.
Against 5. Yeah.
But White's completely tied up that's this X-ray of pins going through the E2 bishop.
Yeah, it doesn't look nice at all.
So what do you do?
I'm still about trying to push that bishop away with h3.
Yeah, decent try.
Well, I think I need to. I think I need to get him out off my back.
Okay.
And
so you're gonna get rid of one of the pins. You're gonna get rid of this pin, but not this pin. So let's
one
say,
at a time,
Yeah, all right. Unfortunately, we've now got this baby in the mix.
Yeah, of course.
And it's lost, right? The knight is gone.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Okay, so h3 not good. Let's go back to that position where I said h3 and let's try and find something else.
I mean, I should say it's already a bit too late for white. The moment this
it doesn't look good at all.
The moment this knight got into the game, it was all over. But it's quite interesting watching this, going through this game with a computer, which I've never done that before, and it gives you're going like, oh, he's fine, and he's not fine at all, right? It's horrible to play.
That's really interesting.
And now he's not fine.
Well, I guess it's got to be king to f2 now then.
King f2 is interesting.
Although I'm trying to see whether there's no problem with the knight sitting straight away.
Do you see any checks?
Do I see any checks? So I'm just saying, not from the knight here, not from the knight there. Rook can't check straight away. Oh yes, of course there is. There's I was going to say queen b6.
Yeah, unfortunately, queen b6.
Can I counter that though? Yes, I can. I'm okay to put my bishop on e3 though, aren't I?
No, you're not.
Am I not?
Rook and queen are both.
Oh, sorry, no, I'm not. I'm not at all. No. So all right. So f2 is bad, but everything's bad. Do you know what I would do if I was actually playing the game at this point? Is I would try and distract my opponent and win on time. That's my only hope.
Just point out that there's a cockfight happening behind him.
Yeah, go look at that cock. What the cock you were hoping for?
The Immortal Cockfight game.
I'm not seeing a strong protective move here.
Well, okay. The idea you just had, king f2, the point is to unpin, right?
Let's say I put king. Let's say I did king f1.
That's what he did.
I don't like it, but yes, I think that's the only option.
Right now,
and
the reason that I decided to show you this game was because there was a motif, there was a thematic idea in the last game we looked at. I wanted to see if you'd spot the same idea in this one.
From this point,
yeah,
from this point here,
in this position, a way of dealing with a pinned piece.
Okay, well it's black to play right now though.
It's black to play, yeah.
You mean for me to look for the black move right now?
Yes, I mean a way of taking advantage of a piece that's pinned.
Yeah, the theme we had last time was to replace the pin with a different piece.
Yes.
So let me look here. Right, if the rook takes the bishop, that's not carrying on the pin. I've lost the pin already, though.
Hang on. Tell me what the pins are. Tell me what the pins are. What there was a pin down here, right?
That's what I'm saying. I don't see that there is a pin going on now, though.
Well, it's only a technical pin but there is a pin this way.
No, I see against the queen, right?
It's not a very effective pin right now because. Let me get rid of these arrows so it's less confusing.
Queen takes. Okay, that's no good. So I'm wondering whether it's knight to d4 is the next move.
Well, the problem with that now is that it's not very useful pinning a bishop with a bishop.
Yeah.
But what if this?
Actually, sorry, yes, the bishop can take the bishop. That's no good.
Yeah. Yeah. So just to show it, that's no good because you just drop the bishop.
That's no good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Knight takes back. Queen takes.
But what if this wasn't a bishop?
Yeah, I'm looking at whether rook takes bishop is a thing, but it's not because then knight takes rook.
Okay.
Bishop takes knight.
Hang on. Stop.
Queen takes back.
If rook takes bishop.
Yeah.
Right. This rook comes down here and takes that. Oops.
Yeah.
Doesn't go through it. Takes that. This knight takes back.
Yeah.
Now this knight on this square will be pinned. Yeah?
Okay.
So now you can pile up on it.
So knight takes back. I see. Yeah, okay. What I was looking at, I think rook takes, knight takes. You know, I was doing those things where you just follow the whole thing through and they go, okay, then the bishop will take, then the queen will take. But of course, the bishop doesn't have to take at that point.
Yeah.
I forget that sometimes. It just keeps that pin going and keeps the pain.
Exactly. So yeah. Keep kicking them while they're down. Don't.
No, it's funny. It's often when you see an exchange like that, my first thing is to go, all right, so he takes and he takes and he takes and he takes, which ends up best for white. But it's only because the black bishop doesn't have to take the knight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, so that's lovely. All right, so I get that lesson. Now, so I'm learning that. So we've had that come up twice now, and I'm getting the point of that. Yeah. I probably would have seen it if in a longer, slower game, but it's because I'm trying to think fast. So. All right, so does the rook take the bishop? Is that where we're going?
There we go.
Okay, and I'm assuming the knight does take the rook.
Knight takes the rook. Knight has to take the rook, right? I mean, apart from anything else. Like, if you tried to... I mean, it's a piece.
Yeah, I mean,
you lost a piece.
It's unquestionable, yes.
Yeah. So now what are we doing? What does black do?
Well, I'm looking again at doing h3 and trying to push that bishop out.
No, it's black's move. Black's move.
Oh, sorry, it's black's move, isn't it? I want to put extra pressure on that knight.
Yep, you do.
So I think now I do knight to d4.
Do. Yeah.
Do I do correctly? Knight to d4, yes.
Absolutely, yeah. So now you cannot be too brutal to a pinned piece.
Yeah.
Just pile everything on it, and you can sacrifice a bit of material to keep the thing pinned on that square, so that you can bring more things in to hit it.
Okay. So aggressive.
Yeah.
And there's nothing really you can add to the protection of that piece either, from White's perspective. So
yeah, that's right.
So I don't see what happens now. I mean, I attack the knight with the bishop, and then he comes in and takes over the pin again. Yeah,
the game is lost, right? But first of all, one of these two things, you kind of feel like they've got to move, right? Because bishop takes e2 will win the queen.
Yeah, so
bishop takes this is going to win the queen.
Help. Yeah.
So what Schulten did was he played the queen out of the way. He thought, right, fine, I'm going to give it up, try and survive.
Yeah.
And the rest is a massacre. And I'll go through it. I won't ask you to guess every move.
I think at this point, I would probably. I'd consider resigning because I can see the knights about the top and everything's on top of me.
Well, it's quite a nice ending.
I don't resign easily though. So okay, bishop comes down.
King of 2.
Yeah.
Okay, so good calculation rules. Checks, captures, and threats.
Just say good day, mate, to Radical 3. Hello, Radical 3.
Hello. Hello, chat in general. I can't see the chat on this particular occasion. I don't know why.
You're not?
No, I don't know why.
Okay.
Hang on, my channel.
All right. if you want to chat, just chat with me. This is Nick Doody and Carey Marks looking at former Morphy game v John William Schulten, just at the dynamic and exciting end of the game. Okay, so it's all going to wrap up horribly. What happens next?
Yeah, it's an absolute massacre. Knight G4 check. King back to G1.
Oh, horrible.
Right.
So is knight to F2? No, it's not.
Okay, knight F2, king takes F2.
No, ignore me saying that. I'm just, brain wandering. Queen comes in, I guess.
Where would be the best place for the queen to come in?
H4. No. Then that comes
that's a very good move. But there's an even more brutal way to play. Like, if you could get your queen here, that'd be amazing, right?
So, is it worth checking with the knight and losing the knight just to get the queen there, I wonder?
Yes, it is.
So, is it knight to F3?
Knight to F3, yeah, nice. Well, what would you think you should play here as white? You have no choice. There's only one legal move. Like that's isn't that horrible?
Yeah.
I mean, this is like. I mean, you should step in if you see this. See something like this.
Sometimes I've been in positions where I'm just losing so dramatically that I just start laughing. My brain can't think of anything else to do. So pawn has to take. Queen comes down to D4.
Check.
King starts crying.
Yeah, king. There's now a trail of tears left over the G file.
They're both. John William Schulten is joining in with the cockfight, going, "Oh, I might be better at this."
Yeah.
Queen goes to F2.
Queen does go to F2. Check.
King has no choice but to go to. No, wait. Do you want me to work it out?
Yeah. And then please submit an essay in 2 days' time where my king went on its summer holidays.
Go on.
Queen takes F3 check.
Yep.
King H4. Now this, I mean, it's not looking good, is it?
No. It's very decidedly over.
This is like arriving at a party, and why is everyone else naked holding a knife? I don't feel at all at home here.
I've been to some of those parties, they were pretty good.
Well, that's because you were one of the naked ones.
Yeah, I was handing out the knives.
I was,
okay, so...
why are you all wearing masks? Okay, I could ask you to work out the mate in 3.
It's a mate in 3, is it?
There is a mate in 3, or there's a probably slightly easier mate in 5. But...
my instinct is to keep the king moving up towards my black pawn, so I'd put the queen down onto F2.
Yeah, and that, to be honest, is the easiest way to... Hang on a minute. No, that's... Let's go. Okay, check. He goes back here. What are you going to do? Check and back. You just lost a move.
Yeah. There's no point.
This is one of those situations where it's quickest to checkmate without making a check.
Yeah. So I guess knight to F6.
I'm sure if I play knight to F6 on the board, it will tell me how many moves it's mating. No, it's not.
Is it not?
Not force mate. So that's interesting.
So it's knight to F2 then.
Yeah, that will be mate at some point.
That's actually, I can see that's much better because then my queen has that diagonal to move up towards the king.
So what you're looking at is basically getting this knight out of the way so that you can play queen to G4 checkmate.
So I'm threatening, yes, basically.
Lots of these things, checkmate. What Morphy did is there's mate in 3 in 2 different ways. This is mate in 3, and that's what you suggest. This is mate in 3 as well.
Okay, but knight to f2 isn't.
Knight to f2 is if he goes here, covering this square.
Then queen. Oh, I see.
Yeah. So the trick is allowing the sorry, say again. The trick is allowing the knight to come to here, which is a really nasty check, which is why it's better to come here or here.
Okay.
And this is where Morphy went. Schulten played this. He played the queen to g1. So he's stopping the immediate checkmate on this square.
Right.
So tell you what, mate in 2, and you have to find it.
Mate in 2. Okay. Well, I'm looking at queen going to h5. King goes to. Well, I suppose you can go to g3 or d3 if it's b. Queen goes to h5. Queen has to go to g3.
Hang on. Before we go on, why don't you make a list of your possible first moves? Because there's more than one. There's more than one check in the position.
Possible first moves would be queen to h5, knight to f5.
Yeah.
Would be my next possible check. If I do knight to f5, king could go to. Well, he'd have to go. No, yes, he would. He'd have to go to g5.
Yeah.
And then queen can go to h5, and that's checkmate.
You done it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Knight f5.
All right.
Check.
And is that what happened?
King g5, queen h5, mate. Very nice.
Excellent. Painful.
It's horrible.
For the last, painful for the last 6 or 7 moves, but actually for the last half of the game, isn't it? It's really the game. It's one of those games that slips quite early.
Yeah.
You know, almost immediately before the openings even finished, it started with White getting on a defensive, and then most of the moves become defensive. Run through it again quickly, then. Just do a quick recap.
So we have King's Gambit. This folk beer counter gambit. So Black's throwing the god about and going, no, you take my stuff. E4. Clamping in a bit. Knight c3, knight f6, d3, very natural. Bishop b4. So you really notice how quickly Black gets to be able to castle.
Right.
Bishop d2, e3. Which e3 is kind of the takeaway move of the whole game, really.
Yeah,
like,
it's often a game does revolve around one particular move, and that piece becomes, or that area becomes so annoying.
Yeah, and this is the I insist on keeping the initiative, and I don't care if you take my remaining central pawn. I am absolutely not having you unwind in your own way.
Yeah.
Takes, castles, bishop back, which is the best move. Takes c3.
And then pawn takes, b takes.
Yeah.
Which was an interesting moment as well.
Rook e8 check.
Rook 3-8.
Now remember, the computer is saying that White is still okay here.
Yeah.
White's surviving.
Doesn't look fanciful though.
No, but I should also say this. Sometimes, what people sometimes do, they look at a computer evaluation. They go, "Oh, it's saying I've got plus 0.4, right? So I'm like nearly half a pawn ahead." But if you look on the position on the board, and you are literally 2 pawns up, and it's saying you are half a pawn ahead, you have paid for your 2 pawns, right? That means your opponent has a pawn and a half worth of compensation.
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Bishop
So
b2.
bishop out.
Yeah. So this is pinned. So immediately let's pile up on the kingpin piece. c4. Maybe not the best option. c6.
Yeah.
Very natural, but if he'd found h3 at this point.
Yeah, it might have been better off.
Oops, sorry. Rather than c3, if he c4, c6. If he'd gone h3 now, maybe this is not such a horrible story. Take, and you give this stuff back up. Maybe he even goes here, stops you from castling. You get away with stuff, and again, the computer wants to try and jettison this pawn. I guess the idea is that. Right. If you take the pawn, then you're giving white time to castle because you're relieving this double pin.
Yeah. That's the computer being hopeful then, isn't it?
Yeah. One day.
Yeah.
But he takes the pawn and it's just all downhill.
Yep.
King f1 tries to unpin. And this is the other takeaway. What's the move?
The rook takes bishop.
Very nice.
On e2. And yeah, that's nice.
And then pile in on the pinned piece.
And the queen goes off to b1.
Yeah, just to escape.
Giving up. Just giving up on it.
Yeah, just goes, I'm
overwhelmed.
I'm going to live with my mum. Takes.
I'm going to live with my mum. Take my daughter. Okay. King moves out.
And now it's forced. Now it's forced mate in 8. Check. Very nice, very nice move. Check. 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 Sneaky, poisonous little quiet move. Threatening mate here. Cover the mate. But a very pretty mate in 2.
Yeah. Lovely.
There we go.
Very good. Well, that's a fun game.
Yeah, so, okay, that's 2 Morphy games we've looked at now.
Yeah.
You got any...
What's our plan for the next one? Are we sticking with Morphy, or are we going to... Do you already know which game you're teaching me next?
There is a... If we're going to go chronologically, then there's a Morphy game you have to see.
Oh, yeah?
At least one. I mean, there's a lot, but there's one really kind of. It's against stronger opposition than this, and it looks a lot more modern as well. Well, not a lot more modern, but a bit more modern than this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
all right.
White manages to castle.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which sometimes when a really strong player plays quite a weak player, it often doesn't get out of the opening because what the weaker player will just go like move a piece 2 or 3 times and it just you don't survive the opening because you don't castle in time or you allow your opponent to blast through the centre or to sacrifice a pawn for initiative. A lot of Morphy's games look like that.
Right. Yeah. No, he's fun. He's a fun player to be. Well, not to watch. It'd be nice to actually watch him, but it's fun to watch his game. It's really interesting. Okay. Well, thanks for that, Nick. I'm going to have to shoot out now. I mean, you could stay and play someone if you wish to.
Yeah. No worries. I guess I should go and find out what else is happening in the just about legal gathering that the neighbours do.
All right. Okay. Get back to that one, and thank you for anyone who's joined us and stayed around.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Hope that was all right. I might do a stream later on, or
yeah. And if anyone wants to play me at any point on, I'm mostly playing on chess with friends at the moment. I do play occasionally on chess.com, but I like playing on chess with friends. because I can play in my own time. And so look me up. It's Carey M395, and you'll find me there, and we can chat on that. Thank you very much for watching.
All right, thanks everybody.
Yes, bye-bye.
Bye.